You need to be able to have all the touch points of the omni-channel connected to retail so that you can deliver that experience.
Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for giving us some of your time.
Good morning.
So, Florim, can you just tell us a little bit about your store, your group, and just give us a sense of size and scale and how long you've been doing it?
Sure. I'm with Gettel Automotive Group. So we've been doing it with Gubagoo for now 4 years. But even before that, we actually had another solution.
And what's your role with Gettel?
Training and solutions director.
And can you give us a sense of the size and the scope of Gettel?
I mean, we're 19 rooftops, and then we have 23 manufacturers. So
And
it's a big group.
what's the geography? How far spread apart?
We're Punta Gorda, Sarasota, Bradenton to Gainesville, Ocala, and then we also just added Woodstock, Georgia.
And so, for those who might not be familiar with the geography of Florida, about how many miles between the furthest points in the group?
Probably about 600 miles between Punta Gorda and Woodstock.
So major distance.
I'm sorry, even further. Sorry about that.
Right. So major distance, and you're spreading inventory, you're spreading resources across 600 miles.
Yep.
Okay. So give us a little insight into your approach to digital retailing.
Well, I mean, the customer wants it. They want that Amazon experience. So that's why we chose Gubagoo. We really enjoyed the process that the journey the customer took. And our training curriculums is all about the mindset, the journey that a customer takes, or a guest, I should say, because really we want them to be our guest, not our customer, not transactional. So I think that's really why we went with it, because we wanted something that was different, that was relevant, and it worked. And it's engaging. You can engage with customers. And I think that's what we found before. There was zero engagement. And so I think that's why we launched it.
What do you mean? Give us a little detail on, like we say, customer engagement. That's what they wanted, right? What does that tangibly mean when you say engagement?
Well, when I'm saying engagement, meaning like, hey, we can engage with them, whether they're online or offline through the tool. And you can also, obviously with Gubagoo, you can see it where they're at in the process. And you can also even just reach out to them, see if they'll even engage with you. That's what I think we found to be the coolest thing out there.
And when you say our training and our curriculum, so you're responsible for training.
Yes, sir.
Right? How many people typically do you think you train in a year?
You know, we just relaunched our whole training curriculum. So we got about 450 that we went through. We had sessions in each region. So sales session for a 3-day session. And then we also had a 1-day manager workshop that involved with leadership and coaching. So we do a lot of training for our group.
Sounds very holistic.
And we appreciate our owner for investing in that part, because a lot of groups don't do that for teams. So
it's uncommon, why I'm asking more questions about it.
Sure.
Because I think what that can do is maybe free up some thinking for some other dealers to see that it is valuable to train, especially in the area of customer engagement.
Yep.
So Brad, you have been developing what I would consider a very human approach to digital retailing. You've always seemed to be in the front of that curve. What is the mindset that is driving your development and your deployment in a 2022 world when obviously, 2.5 years ago, people were shopping 1.5 dealers per purchase. Now it's 5 or 6. Now they're going out 100, 200 mile radius. In your case, you're probably moving vehicles a lot further than 100 miles because you're spreading out the inventory. What is the mindset in this 2022 world regarding what you're developing and how you're deploying?
So I think it comes to the key is conversational commerce and guided assistance. Consumers need help. They have questions. Websites have a tendency to be lonely and cold. And by nature, they don't have the confidence to answer all the questions. It's easier to buy a piece of real estate online than a vehicle. So being able to provide guided assistance without the selling pressure is the magic for retailing online. And dealers have to really perfect their craft. And this is the place and time right now where the more they hone their craft and perfect it, where, Florim was saying, you can engage them offline, engage them online, greet them with an email, jump into a conversation. You need to be able to have all the touch points of the omni-channel connected to retail so that you can deliver that experience where you don't have to be inside the dealership.
What do you find is like the most surprising elements when somebody comes on? Obviously, you've been on the platform for a while and you're a power user, right? So you're very familiar with the platform. When people first come onto the platform, what seems to be the thing they're most surprised about, like once they actually start deploying?
I think that the license plate lookup is a very strong feature for consumers They don't have their VIN number. So, we focus on removing the friction points of the technology so that the customer experience is easier. So you don't carry a VIN number, but a license plate is easy. Being able to have their payoff, their absolute payoff during the time of a payment structure ensures them that the payment they're seeing on screen is real. Products that don't include payoff are providing quotes. And I think that's a big differentiator
Right.
that I think surprises consumers because our performance, our conversion off of it is so much higher than in our previous versions that's my analysis of how they react to it.
So as you see people using the tool,
Mhm.
how is that hitting for you? And when it comes to license plate lookup, I'm having an absolute payoff as part of the transaction process.
I think you have to promote the digital retailing or virtual retailing, as you call it. I think we promoted a lot in our dealerships and with our marketing team. But I think the customers still, some of our guests are not there yet. I don't know why, but they are getting a little further
How do
ahead.
you say not there yet?
Meaning like buying online. They still want to come to the store ultimately.
Yep.
And I don't know if maybe because we just have good relationships with our guests and we've been around for a long time, but I don't see as many as I would like to. But I do see our conversions are higher on our digital platform. It's one of our top 3 ROIs.
Are you seeing a lot of mixed use, starting one place, finishing another
Yeah,
place?
absolutely. Yes.
And what's that handoff looking like, especially as you're using Gubagoo?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing with COVID. You're always our guests were all about they became transactional because hey, do you have this? Do you have the car? Great, I want it, and you buy it. Right? There's not that many options. Where before you had 300 vehicles in the lot, they had a lot of choices. Now they don't have those choices. So as we're hopefully recovering from that, that's why we put the new training implementation where the customer's journey, the guest journey, and then our mindset and our guest mindsets. And that's what I think. And you combine that with your retailing and digital retailing tools. That's where I think that's where we're going. That's what we're trying to do. So
To answer your question a little bit more fluidly about the blended buying experience where they start online, they finish in the store. When we brought in the license plate lookup, our conversions on the amount of trade-in data had an X factor to the increase in lead quality. But to Florim's answer, 70+% of customers, they start online, they research, they go for a test drive, they go back online, or they complete in the store. And so supporting a blended buying experience is the key with the guided assistance. And the license plate lookup is, I think, one of the key features that providing payoff protects the customer when they come in from having to start over and finding out that wasn't a real quote. And it brings authenticity and transparency to the dealerships.
So what are you most excited about for the next 12 months? Obviously, you have some things in the pipeline. You're always moving and shifting, reacting really to the consumer demand, to what the dealers are looking for you to implement, and that based on their feedback. What are you most excited about over the next 12 months?
I think the whole year is going to be very exciting for us. After being acquired and working with all the different assets from Reynolds and Reynolds, I think they have one of the strongest ecosystems on the planet. We'll be able to take the customer from online to in the DMS through the CRM into DocuPad for the blended buying experience in store or through the deal sign platform. So I can literally remote contract and have a contract funded within 40 minutes. So, we're really taking all these assets and creating an all-in-one retail anywhere platform that's going to modernize the entire experience, both for dealers and consumers. And that's pretty exciting.
It's so it's like the seamless integration. You see it really accelerating in pace.
Yes.
Right. And over the next 12 months specifically, and with the acquisition, obviously a lot more resources and a lot more playing nice together is happening, I'm sure.
Reynolds has been fantastic at bringing all the assets together for us, all the help, all the support. We just came off NADA and we had the presentation of the platform and it was extremely successful. I think the industry has spoken that the dealers, they really need to remove these friction points if they're going to perfect the craft of retailing online. And I think we have a very exciting next 12 months ahead about this.
Maureen, same question to you. Different perspective, obviously. What do you think? What are you most excited about over the next 12 months? What do you think we're going to be, or you specifically, and Gettel is going to be able to accomplish?
Well, I like the whole journey that the customer takes where we meet our guests where they left off. And I love the tool where, hey, now we're going to be able to use a tablet and start them where they left off. I think that will be a huge impact because, one of the things that we do is like driving lane, fast lane, or slow lane. Well, what lane are they in to determine where we're going to put them in the process? But I think that will help us dictate where they are. And then eventually with the integration with the CRM, we'll put them into where our third party leads will also be in the tool. So then you can pull them up and the again, the customer experience should be a lot simpler and easier because it should complement our training as well. So I'm excited about where we're going.
You get the final word of our conversation today. You have 10 seconds to
Oh, wow.
encourage dealers and dealer staff management with one thing. What are you encouraging them to do in the next 12 months?
You know what? Look at your culture in your store and figure out what it is that you need. And then it has to be top down. If you do not have a top down structure, then I don't care what solution you put out there, it's not going to work. So, and I think that's where we've been lucky and fortunate. We have great management teams at our locations, and they endorse our solutions and they work with us. We don't just push it on them. We show them the product, and then they're like, wow, this is cool. We should do it. And then we do. And this is the result of it.
Florim, Brad, thank you for spending so much time with us today. And we're hopeful that some of this makes its way into some of your heart and some of your operations, and that you can progress and go forward, just like we're all trying to do here. Thank you.